No, you good.
RightonQuelive, we are fucking live. Niggas going there. We might get 1+ more. We might not. Whatever. But we with the shits and with the man, you know, an illustrious drinker to say the least. Introduce yourself, sir.
My name's Tay P. Yeah, I'm just a dude who tweets sometimes. I write things for a living, and I try to give my opinion in places where I think it'll help. I'm always trying to help people. I always lead with what I can add before I can take. I think a lot of people get a lot of these things misconstrued in these relationships, messed up, where everybody wants something first. I feel like you have to give value to any situation you bring. And yeah, that's me.
Cool. And before we jump into this conversation, before we started, we was talking about the Joe Budden Spotify situation, whatever. Like I already said, you know, before that I heard last week episode. But so basically, whoever don't know, the context is we're talking about, you know, bad contracts, especially with this emerging media podcasting industry that's growing every single day. I've been doing this podcast now for 4 years, and just what I've seen in this time has been interesting to say the least, whatever. So Tay asked me what I think about the Joe situation, and initially I was just like, there's something to be said that he possibly knows his value, but not how to negotiate it. Me, I'm not willing to stand on that assumption because I don't know what was going on in these meetings, shit like that, whatever. I definitely think Joe isn't as smart as he think he is, and is more passionate and entertaining than and you know, even insightful than intelligent per se. Like, I think he definitely think he's smart, you know, all that shit, whatever. But I'm definitely not willing to just stand on again, just bet against their path. Like they really might have a clear cut vision to where they're going, and this may be all part of the plan. And I don't think, you know, I can believe when they say, no, we're in a good space. We know what we're doing. We know what we wanted. I think, you know, they try to maybe talk around the way this deal. They try to know this deal went exactly how we planned it. I'm not really sure if that's believable, but I think they seem to be in a good space, in a good direction. And Taylor let to tell me what he thought about the whole situation in general, or whatever.
I think there's a lot of factors involved. I think what Joe is good at is telling a story. And in being able to tell a good story, you can convince a lot of people of a lot of different things.
Yes.
We see that in a lot of different places now, whether it be politics. Actually, that's the perfect example.
They're the best storytellers.
Yeah, right? So what I can say about Joe and what I can say about what I see this moment being, and I'm big on moments, I do see what Joe is doing. And if Joe is actually doing what he's saying, then I do think he's setting a precedent for the people who are going to come after him, because if he is the number one podcast and he does sign the deal, whatever that number is going to be the ceiling.
Right.
And whoever comes behind it is going to be compared to what those numbers are, and that's going to be the fraction of what you deserve. I'm always of the mind, in terms of creating anything, ownership is the most important thing that you have when you create anything.
Facts.
No, there's nothing around that. No matter who you align with, no matter who you partner with, the amount that you own and what you can take away when you're done is really what matters. And from what they're saying, again, is that yes, the number was larger than anything they've ever seen, but they wanted a lot more for that number. In just reading around and following this and following what Spotify does and how they make their money and all of the lawsuits and their failure to pay artists and kind of how they've bullied their way into the industry, it doesn't surprise me that this happened. Deals like Joe Rogan's, I do think, give people a false sense of ownership in podcasts, because Joe Rogan basically gave the house up for it. You know, they control his audience. I'm sorry?
And to be honest, what I said from the beginning, like, of course, I don't know these deals. Like, if he got like something crazy on the back end, which I would assume he probably has, whatever, and maybe stock, shit like that, I thought he was underpaid. Like, cause if you get $100 million deal and he said he makes $30 million a year,
yeah,
nah, nigga, I was gonna make this regardless. Damn near, like, three years, I got your deal. So unless it's something crazy on the back half, like, nah, I need a little more than that, whatever. But 100 mil up front. So yeah, to me, it could, and that's why I did the part I did here today from Joe. He said if Joe Rogan signed $100 million deal, he found to making 900 mil off him. He probably gonna feel the same way I do. I'm like, yeah, it's real. Like it's all relative.
Yeah, and also in a company like Spotify, a publicly traded company, equity is a large part of it. In trying to get a piece of that, I would say to anybody who looks to sign those deals, I hope that is worked into their contracts, because that stock is going to be valuable no matter what they own from you, no matter what you give them. And so often being able to have some piece of equity of a tech company, especially in times like this, is more valuable than a lot of other things.
Right, Joe, I checked it. Since Joe signed on, it went from like $189 a share to like, $230. Yeah, that's because of me. Like, that's partially because of me. Like, yeah, I need a piece of that.
I understand what Joe's saying in terms of the people who come out, and like Charlemagne. He and Charlemagne have a personal relationship. So
I'm glad you brought that. I wanted to ask you about that. Continue.
So from my perspective, it would be like if one of my dogs, like if Germ hopped on Twitter, was like, yo, Tay's fucking up because his deal looks crazy over there. I'd be like, my nigga, we know each other. You could have texted me. We could have talked this out instead of getting on a very large platform and trying to cut me off at my knees. What Charlemagne says is what Charlemagne says, and if that's his opinion, that's his opinion. I'm always going to be on the side of a lot of these conversations that we have in public, we should be having in private. I'm always going to bring it to you first before, and if ever, I don't bring anything to the timeline that has to do with any problems I have with anybody, because I know how it looks.
Right.
And perception is everything.
Perception is reality, unfortunately. Yeah. So I had a conversation about that also. So me personally, since Flash 3-4 years, I always thought Joe and Charlemagne were some weird ass frenemies. Yeah. I thought the animosity was clear, but honestly, I felt like Joe was like the only person that wasn't taking it seriously. Like I felt like Charlemagne made it clear, like the way. Of course, it's all as Joe said one time. It's all jokes until if you never stop joke. I forgot the quote. Basically, it's all jokes until shit get real, whatever. But to me, the way Charlemagne used to bid on them, like the way he always went at Rory and Maul, even though Maul did start, Maul was like, well, Breakfast Club be done in like 3 years. That was just anything that statement, but whatever. But to me, Charlemagne always took a little bit of step too far. And we supposed to be cool, like, I'm not really rolling with that, whatever. Like, to me, it wasn't clear of, like, it's just friendly banter or whatever. And at the same time, I felt it was because Charlemagne was threatening about Joe, that Charlemagne been the nigga and he's been the nigga in nigga media, and Joe came up and started passing on basically whatever. But at the same time, I give Joe credit because he did a collab podcast with Charlemagne. He always give it up to Charlemagne Breakfast Club. He do that nut ass yearly wrap up thing with Charlemagne, whatever. But I feel like when Charlemagne the first pull up, he put Charlemagne on there. I can't think of a time Charlemagne has ever extended his hand to Joe Budden, like for or whatever. And then even when he said about Joe, me personally, I respect what you're saying about the privacy thing. I definitely think there's something to be said about addressing me first and then saying what you need to say afterwards, whatever. But however you go about it, I didn't like the way he even said what he said, though, bro. Like I felt like it was like coded language to slight Joe, whatever. And we supposed to be acquaintance at the least. It should be a certain manner how you handle this. Like the fact that I feel like he called it a rant alone showed that you was trying to frame it a certain way. Like I heard Joe's whole rant, and sound like he doesn't know how to negotiate himself. It's just like, I mean, like that was a rant, really? That was a Kanye moment, really? I had no point in what I was saying, so I think it's kind of weird. But business friendship dynamics always intrigue me because part of me thinks is like, is it bound to go left? Like with public perception, egos, money, attention, is it bound to just go left? because we just seen it happen too many times, except like with the locks. Like the locks, like the only real niggas in the industry. Like every other dynamic has fell out eventually. It's like the weirdest shit. Shout out to the locks though.
That example came out of left field, but I see what you did.
Locks still sturdy, man.
Like, hold on. D Block fell apart.
That don't count.
All right.
The locks are still good. That's all that matters.
Thanks. And they're all doing well. They're all doing well.
Shout out to them. What else I about to say though? Yeah, so I'm curious to see. I'm gonna finish the episode from today. I'm curious to see where Joe and them headed. Also, it was funny to me seeing people certain reactions to the whole announcement he did, because I'm like, this shit was the writing was on the wall for months now. You've been the way they was talking. Clearly, the Spotify deal wasn't going right, whatever. So it definitely didn't surprise me. Actually, I thought the whole thing was a little bit long-winded and kind of like, all right, we get it. Like, y'all leave it. Like, I don't know, it was like it didn't really move me. I saw a lot of people saying, "Yo, this is like the craziest thing. So inspiring. The insight. First of all, this is nothing new. Corporations move like corporations move, especially when you black. I've heard this story before. Like, wasn't some like crazy thing to me. But speaking of politics, are you voting this year?
I am.
How do you feel about people not voting?
I understand it.
Okay, how so? How so or why so?
I just get it. Like I know when people feel a certain type of way about a system that doesn't work or a system that they feel doesn't work. I'm never going to be the person to tell somebody to do something that they don't feel comfortable doing or that they don't believe in.
Actually, I'm sorry. Before we even get to that, we're going to get back to that. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Man, I actually wanted to start the show like this, because I'm actually not one of these people that typically be like, like group following of the story and hype beast type shit, whatever. But definitely RIP to Chadwick Boseman. And I can honestly say I was like, it isn't too many celebrity deaths. I'm just the type of person like, I really don't know these people. So like, I just feel it's kind of weird to be like so invested in certain things. But of course, tragedies are tragedies. Unfortunate things are sad and unfortunate. But like, I'm like, no, I'm not moved. I don't know these people, whatever. There's only a few celebrity deaths I can say like, no, that shit was like, it's like it moved me. And for certain reason, of course, Kobe's just Kobe. The Nipsey thing really shook me to the core. And Mac Miller is truly sad. And to me, this reminds me of Mac Miller and Nipsey in certain ways, because the Mac Miller thing was sad to me because he just seemed like a genuinely great guy. Like everybody had just so many stories like, yo, Matt did this for me, helped me with this. He's the first person I did that. I was like, wow, like it's rare and dope to see someone that just has like you seem just a genuinely good person. Like it's like no one has no bad stories and you just helped so many people at such a young age. Like, you did so much in your time. So with Chadwick, I can say that like when I first heard it and I saw all the people start going, typical social media shit, oh my God, I would just say he was my favorite actor of all time. Oh, shit like that. People just say anything when death happens. I was like, oh man, shit is sad, unfortunate, but just hype beast type shit, whatever. Everybody just going with her wave. Once I started seeing people saying, oh, first Kobe, now and this, I'm like, how are we putting Chadwick and Kobe? This is just a weird thing, but whatever. Social media gonna be social media, whatever. Like I'm definitely the type of nigga that's gonna be like, y'all niggas hype as shit typing. Like, that's also weird, but whatever. Like, but then when I start seeing the stories pouring out, like, just things he was saying to people, things he was doing, things he was on by, and the whole thing really was framed in perspective. I was like, wow, like, I've always, I've seen 42 when it first came out. I've always been a fan of his skill. I didn't always think his movies were the greatest, but no, he's clearly talented. Like, I think the character Black Panther's ass, but he killed the role though. Like, he killed the shit. But just thinking about like he really only did, for the most part, Black movies and Black figures and like things to uplift Black people. And I think about just like knowing you got cancer, and then I thought about this like he could have did 42 and after James Brown, and found out he had cancer. I'm like, yo, fuck, man, I'm done. It's right before I get my run, man. I thought that's a natural thing. I'm sure plenty of people are like that, and not even to judge them, but you just give up because you just shattered with your life, whatever. But he took the Tupac approach and said, all right, I got cancer. I'm about to go 100 miles an hour and just not even make it a thing, not tell nobody, and just go hard. And I feel like if he would have stopped at the 2 movies or whatever, so to speak, died whenever, possibly, whatever, we'd have been like, dang, 42 was good. James Brown's whatever. He could have, damn, he was talented. We didn't know what he could have been. Instead, he did so much in that time span, and I'm like, wow, he did all this. He's arguably a legend. He is a legend. He's gonna be remembered forever. Like Black Panther's an iconic movie. He's the star. He's the best black superhero ever, type shit, whatever. So it's made me just think about, like, of course it's a cliche, but it's literally, most cliches are true. But seize the day. Like, don't let nothing shake you. Don't let nothing stop you. Like, tomorrow isn't promised. Even if tomorrow isn't promised, make today worth it, whatever, because that's all you really got is your name and your legacy and making the most of the time you got, whatever. And also, when I connected to Nipsey, one thing that resonated with me about Nipsey, besides him being one of my favorite rappers, was anytime a rapper dies or anytime like some type of nigga dies, bitches come out the woodwork say, oh my God, I was with him last night. He texted me with show the DMs. Oh my God, he bought me a Chanel bag. I thought it was super fire that nobody had nothing to say about him. He was a thorough nigga, sturdy. He loved his girl, loved his family. He did his business and went the fuck home for the most part, whatever. And again, I'm not saying like, yo, if you cheat on your wife, you do whatever. Like, no, but I was just rare and fire to see that, whatever. And something you said about someone that holds their woman down and loves her through and through and just rocks with the family. And I think about Chad, he's not the same type of individual where he just cared about his work, staying out the way, and his family, whatever. So the fact that his family got to have that sacred time and be prepared for this unfortunate thing to happen, and they was able to keep it to themselves and ride it to the end, I thought that was just dope and resonated. And it made me think, like, most important things you got is your family, your time, and your legacy. If you put all your energy into those things, you really can't go wrong with it. So definitely RP to him. And I've been watching. I watched Civil War earlier. I'm gonna watch Black Panther later on. I'm gonna watch Infinity War. And I swore off watching Spike Lee movies because I'm just over Spike. I'm gonna watch the Five Bloods. All because of Chadwick. Any thoughts you wanted to say about that? If it moves you at all?
I woke up this morning, and my wife walked in the room and she said that he passed, and I was like, I think the first thing I said was, "Stop playing! That's not funny." And then she was like, "No." So I think I might have asked Google, and then Google was like, "No, Google says that Chadwick Boseman passed, his representatives," and I was like, "Damn!" Like, again, you don't know. You never know what people are battling. You never know what people are going through. But to think of that run while you have something like colon cancer, to think that he played Jackie Robinson, James Brown. I just said Brown, weird as hell. James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, T'Challa, Five Bloods. Like he just went on a run.
He got an August Wilson movie coming up.
He had a really prolific period of work. And again, it really comes down to when you go, how did you make people feel? That's really what it comes down to. You can't take any of this shit with you. And it just seems like he had a profound effect on a lot of different people. We never get people like that for a long period of time. So in all of that, and I saw the people on Twitter talking about, oh, well, like the comparisons with, so Kobe and it's just, I feel largely we've lost the ability to live in the moment and really allow just people their time. Like, Kobe's family is still dealing with what they're dealing with. To bring him on to this now on top of what Chadwick's family is.
No correlation
at all. It's just the public makes it very difficult for people to move on. I don't know if that's the public having a problem moving on, but I rarely get moved by any of these things. Like you said, the Nip passing was crazy. I was actually at my birthday dinner when my homeboy texted me and was like, yo, Nip got shot 5 times. And I get up and call him like, bro, don't play with me on my birthday about this. So I know what these moments feel like. It's just we just have to be very, very mindful of not only making sure we take advantage of the time we have, but also let your people know how much you care about them. You know, we get these stories, a lot of these stories when these people are gone, and I can imagine some of them just being them affecting random people and people who don't have a platform, but we should always be letting people know how much they mean to us before they go. Yeah.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about it is like the thing that really got, like, multiple things. It was one of the things that really got to me was I remember when Black Panther came out because so I was one of the people that when Black Panther was coming out, I had to check my privilege, as I like to say sometimes, where I went to African school my whole life. I come from a very pro-Black mom who made me read African American fun fact index cards and read books about all this shit, do book reports on demand. So I was very tapped into Africa appreciation and Black history, shit like that, whatever. So when Black Panther came, I saw so many people saying, like, yo, this is da-da-da-da-da, it's a change the world, boom, boom, boom. I was just like, what are we talking about? It's a fucking comic book. This is whatever. But then I started seeing people who didn't have the same type of background, upbringing as me. Like, no, this is rare. Like, ain't somebody ever seen Gerald on Hey Yarn. That shit really meant a lot to me. Like, when I saw the Black girl and code name kid next door, I thought that was me. Da-da-da-da. And I was like, yo, that really never did it for me. I didn't really care about no Black character on the show. I wasn't like, yo, like, to me, Gerald was just cool as shit because he's just Gerald. Like, it wasn't like, he the only Black boy. I never really thought like that. But, I had other connections and tangible things to make me feel my sense of pride of being Black. But I never had a void of feeling like I wasn't good. I was like, I always felt like Black was the shit, whatever. So I had to check myself and be like, oh no, this is a moment in history. This is a big deal. And I remember he was on that interview that recirculated, and he said he visited a cancer ward and he was talking to all these different kids who had cancer. He had to. It blew him away because he was like, we just want to live long enough just to see this movie and this and that. And I remember seeing that back then, thinking like, wow, that's heavy. That's deep as shit. And he was talking about how the kid had died. So to now see it now, to think that you was doing that while knowing you had cancer, I was just like, I literally can't even formulate what that would even be like or imagine that type of level of strength and composure to do that and stay the course and just go. I was like, wow, like that's just ridiculous. Like, this nigga really a superhero. Like,
some people are strong, some people are powerful, some people are here for very specific reasons. And when that purpose is served, they go on to the big God welcomes them and they live forever. So I just, again, in times like these, I couldn't imagine being one of those families that has a public figure who loses someone because you kind of have to go through it in the cycle that the public does.
Yeah. But in more negative news, politics.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a hell of a segue, dog.
You DM'd me and you were saying you were working on a project and you wanted to get people tapped in and da 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 da. Tell people more about that, what it's about and the significance of it to you.
Yeah, so it really started with Kamala becoming the VP and me having a moment of, I wouldn't say checking my privilege, but checking myself. In knowing that I had all these feelings towards Kamala that weren't necessarily positive, but I realized that they all came from shit that I heard from other people. They all came from a lot of the shit you see on the timeline, things that we read that may not necessarily be so based in fact, that may not necessarily speak to her track record and things that she's done. Because in politics, as much bad as people have done, there are some people that have done some good. So some voting record,
and I think it's like nearly impossible not to be part of something bad. At least
that's
up until this point of the political system. Maybe in the future there'll be people that never did nothing. But
that's the game, right?
Yeah.
That's the game. Like you're not gonna come out clean ever.
Right.
So in that, I realized that I'm voting this year. I'm not voting for anybody that I like, but I'm kind of in a place where I'm voting for the lesser of two evils. And I felt conflicted in that because on the same note,
did you vote last term?
I did vote, and I voted again the lesser of two evils.
Right. Continue. I'm sorry.
So in knowing my ignorance, I'm always going to check that at the door, and I'm always going to lead. Most of my ideas are rooted in what I don't know. So I felt like in the people I know and what we want to do it together, I felt like the idea that I initially had for the article club could turn into us learning how this political system works. I feel like so often I see people hop on the timeline and they go on these rants about politics and they get pissed off and this person, blah, blah, blah. But the knowledge of how it actually works isn't there. And then we see the other side or other people use it in their favor. I wanted to set up something to where nobody really needs to do anything with it. Like, I'm not telling you, you need to get involved in your local government or you need to put anybody in place or whatever it may be. But we might be more effective if we can learn how this system works so that we can understand when things are starting to happen or they're starting to roll out or they happen, that we know why it is what it is. And I think a good example of that is when AOC still voted for Bernie, and all these people came out of their neck and said, why'd she do that, blah, blah, blah. And it was actually standard practice at that point in time that she had to do it. I didn't know that. And then all those people had to get checked and someone came out and said, this is standard, blah, blah. So it's that now there's a lot of information being thrown around that people are relying on as fact, and they aren't really rooted in how a lot of these systems work. So I wanted to take my dogs, my homegirls, anybody interested in how this actual system works, and throughout the weeks, we're going to read something different. So I want to start at, personally, the Electoral College and why Hillary lost that fucking election with 3 million people and what the Electoral College means and how it works against us. And then we can go from there. Who knows? We might get into some schoolhouse rock and shit and have a good time, but I want to do it with people I know are going to take it and use it. You know, and it can be, I'm fine with small. It always starts small. But that's why I hit you, because I know just in you being somebody who is consistently meeting people and talking to people, but also learning along the way. Like if you talk a lot, you're going to pick up a lot of different things, right and wrong. So that's why I hit you and just like, yo, this is an idea I'm having. You know, let me know what you think. And I use a lot of different creatives as soundboards. I know that I don't have it all figured out. There are some things that I might think I'm good at, but at the end of the day, just throwing it to somebody and saying, yo, this is what I'm thinking. I'm never hesitant to do that because, one, I put trust in creatives knowing if you take this shit, then that's going to be on you. You're going to have to wear it. And two, I'm just going to come up with something else. So that's kind of how I came about the idea. And I got a bunch of people that are interested this week. The email chain starts. Gotta love a good email chain. And we're going to nail down when we're going to do this, what time, and what we're going to start with. And there ain't going to be no arguing in this neither. Like, this ain't no place for folks to hop on.
Conversation without argument? Are you sure? Are you sure about this, sir?
I'm positive, because it's rooted in what we're reading. It's not in what your perception of it is. It's what is this. You ever have family members that'll argue about the same scripture in the Bible because of their perception of it?
No, I know a bunch of things.
Okay, I do too.
I got my mom. She argued with herself.
Yeah, okay. So I have people in my family who swear by the Bible, and they will argue about the same passage based on their perception of it.
Yeah, like I said, perception is everything. It
is, but in this politics thing, it's legal and it's binding. So when we sit here and we read what the Electoral College is and what it does, there ain't no fucking argument. There is no argument. And if you want to hop in here and argue, you're going to get bounced, because we're here to learn. You can take that argument shit everywhere. It's done. It's like all of these arguments we're having that are so useless, where solutions aren't being found. I'm not in them. I'm not in them. I'm not engaging in them. So bring your mind, bring an open mind, bring your spirit, and let's really get to this and figure out how we can somehow find a way to make this shit work for us.
Yeah, the politics stuff is always interesting to me because to me, people that just always seem to be the most pompous or just the most overbearing with their opinions or whatever. I never just understand it. It's just like can I just say this for instance, the Kamala and Biden ticket.
Yeah.
What makes it, because me, like, I don't know if I'm gonna vote. Cause I'm the type of person where I just truly don't care. And I have the privilege of, like, I'm not a foreign or I'm an immigrant per se. Of course we all foreign immigrants, but like, I understand that that investment in this, election with Trump and what he's done with the border and Aisha. So if I'm like, no, I'm focused on what's going on with me. My life pretty much been the same since I've been fucking born. Like nothing has really changed. I'm not a woman who needs Planned Parenthood. They're shutting that shit down, whatever. I'm a black man, straight black man. Shit been fucked up. Shit gonna be fucked up for a while, whatever. So it's like, I'm just trying to make a way in this system, whatever. But also my mom, she probably just threw the ticket for me, whatever. So that's her or whatever. But at the same time, though, like if Trump, I also think Trump's going to win. I think that's going to happen, whatever. And I'm personally not going to be upset or crying. I'll probably just laugh and the reason why I laugh is because I think it's just so ironic that we're literally in the same exact predicament we were 4 years ago, and nobody sees it. Like, whether you're passionate or not, I just can't believe people are making the same argument of like, man, fuck it, I don't like neither one of them, so I'm just not da-da-da-da-da. And I want everybody who said last time, Hillary just as bad, she the same. Y'all really telling me that Hillary would have did everything Trump did? There's no way. Like, it's because they just not even the same type of person or whatever. Like, so if y'all can think Biden's racist and all that shit, he did the crime bill, I hear all that. That nigga isn't a walking embodiment of racism, though. Like, and just ignorance, well, to the same degree, and hate. Like, it's just not the same energy of a person and of a figure. So Biden being in office will just change the whole like the energy of the country just naturally, like, because he's head of the shit. So I just think it's so funny to me that people who claim to be against Trump can't wrap their mind around, like, yo, no matter what, Trump not being there is better. And if you claim to be someone that's truly invested, truly knowledgeable, truly passionate, again, like me, like, I just don't care. To me, I don't fuck with Trump. I don't fuck with anybody that fucks with Trump for real. But like, this country been fucked up, so it's just whatever. Like, it ain't really been, like, it's been fucked up, but it's like, it's whatever to me. I'm just not moved by it. But so people that claim to be moved, though, you watch all the debates and all the conventions and you vote all the time. Then when it gets to when we at the most pivotal point, you just like, man, fuck this shit. Bernie didn't win. I'm over this shit. That's like, that just doesn't make sense to me, though. And I think those same people, you're just as dumb as the people you call dumb. Like it's just weird to me. And Kamala, like, I agree with you. I was definitely one of the people that were like, oh, I mean, from what I heard, she seemed like on some bullshit Black Hillary type thing, like, like kind of posturing herself, whatever. But I've been seeing other things. It's like, oh, like, it's not everything. It's a bunch of narratives. Ironically, I feel like coming from our side though, not just the Trump side. It's like we're cut our nose to spite our face type shit. So it's interesting to see us self-destruct all over again, like our side.
Yeah, that's really what it is. And again, I completely understand why anybody would say, you know what, I'm not voting. Like, I got family that don't vote. Shit, my grandma, she lived on 59th and Lansdowne for 50 years. She used to have a polling station in her house, like one of the only ones in the neighborhood where no matter who you was, if you wanted to vote, you could pull up to my grandma's house and vote. She ain't voted in like 30, 40 years. You get what I'm saying? So there are those contradictions within it, but my thing is always reaching for the knowledge, reaching for the information. You can do what you want with it, but I personally feel uncomfortable being on the outside looking in, not understanding what it's like. Cats that, like, a bunch of cats, they'll get locked up and then they start going to the law library and then they like, I sat in that court the whole time and didn't know what they were saying about me.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to compare the situation to that.
That's a good analogy, though. Yeah.
I'm not going to compare the situation to that, but it kind of feels like I'm on the outside looking in, and I don't know why it's working the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's working the way it's supposed to, but I don't know, the inner workings of it, the real makeup. And without that, I can't do anything. So I want to be in a place where I can make the decision like, all right, I'm going to get it shaken, or I'm just going to leave it as it is and figure out other ways to be effective. And that's all I'm worried about, is being effective.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. The way I make sense of it for myself, and like how I go about things and keep my mental stability, is, of course, I'm all for the fight and revolution of, getting when we're old and making sure we're not just fucked over every fucking day. Maybe there is a brighter tomorrow. But in the meantime, I know the thing that's the common denominator in this country is the fucking dollar. So, I feel that's the one thing that, is close to the equalizer. Of course, we'll never be equal to them, but we can get fucking close with that. And of course, I definitely not the type of person that aspires to be Jeff Bezos and all that type of shit. But that's a whole other topic about billionaires or whatever. But no, I definitely feel like financial literacy, financial consciousness. And to your point, where you said you feel we all need to learn about politics, and I definitely agree with that. To me, I always looked at it as like, once I got to where I wanted to be success-wise or finance-wise, I feel like, what? Let's see what this whole politics thing's about, whatever. Not saying that won't happen sooner. That's kind of how I made it, made peace with it, whatever. Because I feel like with money, a lot of other things kind of fall into place, whatever. And so, I've been telling everybody I care about around me, like, there's a stock split happening this Monday coming up. We recording this Saturday.
Apple 100 going in.
Exactly. The day after Chadwick Boseman dies, is Saturday. Monday coming up.
Can't wait.
First, Apple going down to 125. Tesla going down to 435.
Let's go.
If people like this,
you know that song "Clean Up Woman"?
Mm-hmm.
We gonna be the clean up niggas. I can't wait, bro. I can't wait.
I already got my shares. I'm getting a couple more that day, whatever.
So yours is gonna get bust down, and you gonna buy more.
Yeah, I already got bust down. It actually happened. It dropped today. Actually, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
So I think about like a year ago, like something which is like a once in a lifetime type moment where like two of the most monumental, popular companies in the world having a stock split the same exact day. A year ago, me and most people around me, niggas, would not have known nothing about this. And we went over our head and we'd have missed out making an easy ass fucking money for the future or whatever, not doing nothing, whatever. Yeah. Fucking niggas be talking about, I got money in my savings. Fuck that bum ass savings account. Only poor people be trying to stick to the savings. That's going to change your life. No, like you need to get other type of accountants and shit and diversification going on in your life, whatever. You're really trying to elevate in a certain way, whatever, and just not be in the same stagnant position, whatever. So I think about that, where people really need to be more informed about that just as well, if not more than politics or whatever. Because one thing politicians got in common, them niggas got money. So it's like you need to have one or the other. A grasp of politics, money. I think money is like, that's the thing you should really try to reach for first, whatever. But one of them you need, though. And to be not tapped into either one of what's going on around you, you're really just lost in the sauce. It really makes no sense.
Yeah. I'm still very, I kind of poke at this sometimes when I get on the timeline to figure out, there's a lot of Black folks that I feel have beef with what they call LLC Twitter.
Yeah, okay.
One of my dogs is like very, very in that. I'm not going to say who he is, but he's good people. He's actually a cat who's coming up to Maine, right? Like he's thinking out of the box. So he's definitely helped me in this journey of just learning how to, and past the rich dad, poor dad shit, right? Like how to actually learn how these things work. And I got homeboys that they just put me in this like stock chat. And I'm just loving the fact that I'm seeing it, the fact that you just brought it up on here, because I know that it's reverberating and people that are picking it up. And I just can't, I'm not going to say I can't understand, because I have been like that ignorant person. I've just been a nigga that's like, I don't get it, so I'm not fucking with it. But it's we're in a very pivotal place where we have all of the information. It's frustrating to see the people who still push it off or still reject it as if it's something that is going to harm them or whatever it may be. When we were at our strongest as a people, it's when we had money, it's when we owned land, and in that we were able to flex some political muscle. And we've definitely fallen back in that. A lot of studies have shown a lot of Black neighborhoods are just as segregated as they were in the 60s. A lot of Black schools are back to a place in near the 70s. You know, the average Black family brings in 1/10 of what the average white family brings in. Like, all of these things are very true. So for you to think that, I mean, these floating heads on Twitter, which is what we all fucking are, is floating heads, are somehow against your empowerment of Black people because they trying to put money in people's pockets a real way. Like, they're not pushing the Forex shit. They talking about buying real estate. They're talking about flipping properties. They talking about ownership. They talk all this stuff. It's frustrating. I'm not going to judge those people, but I say it's frustrating.
Yeah, I will say this to the LLC hater people, whatever, is I do feel a lot of times those people come off in a, and I feel that's with everything. Anytime someone's just far left with some shit, they usually come, like we just talking about the people that's against the Biden and Kamala people that claim to be so knowledgeable about politics and all that shit, whatever. Like, you just come off in a certain pretentious, pompous way, whatever, where it's like, oh, y'all niggas out here going on vacations, but you don't got 2 properties yet. It's like, yo, like, no, you definitely are right. People should be more, have their better priorities in place, and maybe should try to own a property so they can. Yes, these are valid things, but to go about it that way is just,
I agree,
off-putting, whatever.
Like, buying a Gucci belt don't mean I'm bad with money.
My grandma just told my mom the other day, what the fuck you say? It was like, my mom, she got to get her car fixed or something like that. And she's like, oh, so you got money to get your hair done, though? And she's like, what? Like, yo.
When the old heads hit you with that, though, it comes from the, like, it's like, because they probably went without getting their hair done to get their car fixed. So it's like, I see why you said that, but I mean, I need to get my hair done.
Yeah, and my car costs like a rack. Like, my hair don't cost that much. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that like, I've been seeing also people saying, oh, now every nigga's a stockbroker, every nigga's a Wolf of Wall Street now, and da. And yes, like, you know, I see a lot of professional stock people talk about this new craze of the Robinhood. Robinhood just made everybody more savvy, and there's so many different apps now. Well, for everything. Once it's on the internet, social media, it becomes more accessible and more people influx. That's with rappers, that's with podcasts, with now stocks and financial literature, shit like that. Whatever. But at the same time, what these dumbass niggas don't fucking realize is whatever a trend that's worth sticking to and getting tapped into, it's this one. Like, because the stock market has been around for a long time, to say the least. Yeah. The reason it's still around.
100 years, at least. Yeah.
And most things move off the stock market. Like, most things in this fucking country, like, they move off that. And to also back to the politics part a little bit, where I feel like another thing I thought noticed with me was, like, niggas talk about shit that don't matter all day. Like, we talk about sports, music, da. People with money talk about shit that actually matters, like money, like the stock market, like politics, like tech shit, like that's actually going to shift society. Like, oh, did you hear about this? We be like, oh no, you heard who was pregnant? Or like, oh, you heard like the song that just dropped, and have a whole hour-long debate about the song that dropped. And again, these are nothing wrong with casual conversation, but if you never have nothing that's really truly substantial in life, like, then what are you really talking about? But so the more people like us do talk about things that matter, the more you're around, exchange information, exchange value, exchange knowledge, and you're able to elevate just by talking about things. Like, listen, the stock split alone, a year ago, I would have been around, nobody even knew about it. We would have been talking about the new iPhone that's dropping.
And now we hear hype about it.
Yeah.
Hype. Yeah.
Right. Niggas with money would have been like, fuck the iPhone. I want to get the stock split. So when the iPhone come up, my shit gonna go crazy. Like, that's what you should be talking about, whatever. But that's another thing I learned also, just like, I'm not like a true.
I don't I enjoy my anonymity. Like I enjoy being this kind of floating head that's Roscoe P. Coltrane. But yeah, no, this is dope. This is a good time.
Appreciate it. I'm glad you're here. I ain't gonna lie, you're not nothing like I would expect you to look though, because of the Roscoe P chain. I'm like, this nigga probably looks something like Roscoe P chain, like Roscoe Coltrane.
You know, I mean, one, Roscoe's obviously my favorite rapper, but
wow.
I've always had this weird relationship with Twitter and the internet, and always knowing that I'd probably be, and a lot of people would be more effective if I didn't give everything away. You know, like I'll give certain things away as I go. I'll tell different stories of like shit I did and blah, blah, blah. But a large part of who I am is kind of, if you get to know me through it, then it kind of builds from there. So like, that's kind of why I reached out to you, because like I pay attention to everything. Now I see everything. And I've been watching you, and through Germ, he's kind of put me on, and seeing him come on your podcast. And then I remember you posted something and like all these chicks was retweeting Germ, and I was like, this motherfucker. And I just remember seeing the conversation. I was like, yo, this is dope. And then I'll always initiate first. I have no problem doing that. That's kind of been what's gotten me to where I am. Just leading with like, yo, I fuck with what you're doing. I don't want anything from you. I just think what you're doing is dope. So I say all that to say that I appreciate that you think I look different, because that's kind of the whole thing. I don't want anyone to really know what I look like. I'm never going to post my wife. I'm never going to post my kid. But yeah, that's kind of the mystery is what I think a lot of people have lost. Like most of my favorite artists were mysterious as fuck. You don't really know who they are. They just make great shit. Most creatives I feel like should be like that, but they end up wanting all of the light and the fame, and that fame shit is nasty, bro. I've been around it. I saw it firsthand, and I knew immediately this is not what and also the ilk I'm cut from. Like my old heads are old, you know what I mean? Like they were doing dirt in the 60s and 70s, like older uncles and shit. So I just was never a picture person, always just strictly off of the relationship. Your handshake, your word is what I'm going off of. And yeah, just that kind of shit, and kind of transferred it to Twitter to where I'm not doing back and forth with you because it's just not worth it. I always tweet, we can disagree, but don't get disrespectful. I mean, like all of that shit. So you, to I guess reciprocate the energy, you are who I thought you would be. And I just, yeah, I appreciate you again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, to your point about the famous people and the fame shit, like I also feel like of course a lot of people are just conditioned now because of social media or whatever, but I also feel it's to overcompensate with the lack of talent and the lack of skill and the lack of foundation for themselves. So no, I like a lot of them know they're not gonna last long. A lot of them don't care about lasting long. So now I'm about to get the most as I can out this fucking orange, squeeze this shit, and I want all the fame until whatever. I just want to be famous. I don't want to be great. I don't want to, like push it. You'd rather be more famous than rich. Like niggas don't want to be rich for these days.
They don't want money, and that's the sick part. It's like you just want to go on Adam 22's show. That's all you want. You don't want no money. Like I hate to draw another parallel, but that's just kind of how my mind works. Like it's like these young niggas killing each other. Like I got young cousins out here. Like that's another reason why I moved the way I do, because I know how wild these young niggas are. I got them in my family. Like they hungry as fuck, and ain't no money in this shit, and they knocking each other down every week. Philly's 2 right now. Like they laying each other's down, and there's no money. No, it's not a money game anymore. It's really just like Vince Staples said, this deadly game of tag that the older generation passed to us. Like they just knocking each other down, and it's a fucking shame. So I keep it cordial. I try to keep it funny. I'm really only funny off of Twitter. I'm not funny on Twitter. And I just try to share shit, things I'm reading, things I see, people I support. I'm going to support you to the end. Like you already got me as, and that's just how I give it up. Like I don't need to know you to really want to see you win.
Yeah, and I feel men lack that. At least from my opinion, what I see, I feel a lot of men like their ego getting away, their insecurity getting away, and like I just said this last episode, like I'm all about like peer appreciation and peer gas, like expressing that, giving people your flower. People with Dickie, a stranger all day, every day, and Dickie's someone that's above them according to their whatever, but someone that's right in front of you, right across you, and be like, you cool, like
right?
whatever. It's like it's the weirdest thing to me, and I feel men do it. Like, I know plenty of women that have no problem because we're not competing per se to ourselves, whatever. But men, have this thing like, nah, that nigga, it's like. But if you take off, yo, bro, I saw it. Like it's like it's me. That's worse than ignoring it. Like don't Dickie. Like when you just not, it's not even like that's not even necessary. Like so, things be moving weird. It's very unnecessary.
I love that Philly is the dick eating capital of the world in the sense that like it's ours. We labeled it. Mm-hmm. Nobody can take it from us. It gets overused, but when it gets overused, it's funny no matter what. It's just like I do some stuff for artists behind the scenes. I never ask for money. It's just if I can help, I can help. A lot of it through my writing and through people who follow me. I know if I can get certain things on the timeline, certain people will see it. Mm-hmm. And that's easy. Like a like is easy. A retweet is easy. You send me a video, I'll put it up. If I like it, I'm not just going to gas him. Like, if I don't like it, people know. I'll tell you, bruh, this ain't it, and it's not going on my timeline. I love you, but no.
Respect.
Exactly. Like, and we're not going to hit everyone out the park. I write some shit that is dirt, and my editor comes back and says, yo, this is not good. Work on this. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can't take it personally. But it is alarming at times when I work with some of these artists and I do certain things and they like, yo, you support me more than my homeboys do. And I'm like people that's in their life every day. Mm-hmm. And they like, yo, even my dogs don't see the vision or even my family doesn't see the vision. And that is, I can't imagine that because I come from a family that was so heavy in the shit mm-hmm. that for me, I was kind of the one that it kind of became a focus like, all right, we'll try something different with this one. Mm-hmm. So I got so much support, so much love from my family that I never felt like I needed it from anybody else, if that makes sense. And like, not to sound crazy or cocky, but like I knew from a very young age that I was going to do something big and I had a support system that would help me do that. It is heartbreaking when these dudes, and these are grown men. I mean, like that shouldn't sully the point, but it does say something to say that we all want to feel affirmation in what we do.
Facts.
And
that's why I tell people you should give it out because you never know when you might need it yourself, whatever. You should spread that into the universe because, everybody needs it. Everybody would appreciate it, whatever. And if it's on your heart, just say it. Like, it's just nothing. It takes nothing from you to be like, yo, no, this is dope. Like, I hit my man, shout out to Phenom. I hit him up one day. I was like, I like the way you've been moving with your music video. I like the way you got the visuals, the graphics, and your branding. Yeah, shout out to you. Who knows? I know one time when someone just randomly DM me was like, yo, Q, you really da-da-da. And I really appreciated that day. Like, wow, that really I needed that with it. So you just never know. So just say it. Like, why are you holding shit in? But then that nigga die tomorrow. Yo, he was. It's like, that shit weird. Like, I need to hear it.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I can see when people do it and I can see why they do it, but I'm just not built that way.
Speaking of Dickie, and the worst sign of I gotta get this off too. The worst Dickie
deep segues.
When I'm sorry. When niggas be commenting hard as shit on people they really not that cool with just to be seen in the comments, I'd be scrolling and be like,
oh, that happens?
Yeah, you see just other grown men just be hype as shit on a timeline. I mean, on a under a picture, like, yo, bro, like that. You don't even like. Y'all not even that. Like, it's like y'all not that, but you want to be seen, or because this person already elevated, you want to still be attachable to them, so they may look out for you, whatever. They probably won't because niggas be weird and insecure, like we just said, whatever. But niggas be just doing weird shit. And, I just know that the way niggas be doing, the way they be doing to get like their comments, like it's a weird, nasty thing behind scenes where people just be, how niggas be fiending for comments. Like it's very nasty.
Like for the interaction or like the connection, the false connection. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
that sounds like it happens, but that is, I'm sorry for anybody that has gone through that. That sounds like a real problem.
Once upon a time, you stirred up a lot on the timeline. Mr. Stay behind the scenes, don't say nothing, da da da. You stirred up a lot. I remember it was you.
Oh yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Before I came on here, I was thinking like, is there anything I've done that could get pulled on here or where? Yeah, I know what you're talking. I'm sorry. I'm listening.
Gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
What is a gatekeeper? And I will say this. So at the time, that's before me and you ever interacted, I thought it was weird that, whether I don't remember whether it was you, whoever, a bunch of we talking about, I was just like, because again, me personally, I've never used that term, at least in Philly. So I was very curious to see where the conversation would go, whatever. Like, and I felt a lot of people, whether it was you, whoever, kept just talking around, and I just truly didn't understand it. I'm like, why start the conversation if we're not going to have the conversation? So,
well, before I go into it, can you give me what you saw happen so that I know if I was effective? Because in what I remember, I feel like I was very effective in what I did.
Oh yeah, you was effective for sure. The conversation got started. So yeah, so that's what I mean. So the conversation got started for sure, but I felt like the people that were a part of starting it didn't see to it that it maybe got completed. Like I felt the conversation got started, but it didn't have a true direction. I feel like it was just like like, we're going to open the door but not turn on the lights. So niggas ran in dark and we was like, we just fooling around. We don't know what's really going on, whatever. So, and again, because it wasn't like, I've never really thought about that. And I never felt like someone was a part of stifling me or had put in a ceiling somewhere or whatever. I definitely can agree that there's people who have positions who do certain things and I don't look back. But to me, I wouldn't necessarily look at them as a gatekeeper. I just feel like you're this person in a position that isn't as thorough as you maybe should be, whatever. But so what are your thoughts on it, then and now in hindsight?
All right. So I'm going to try to touch on both points. I'll attack the initial conversation first.
Uh-huh.
So as I said to you, I see everything. And I saw, and again, it's 2020. And at the same time, like I had no malice in any of this. I had no skin in the game. I just saw something and felt like, this is what I'll say. When you have no dealings or when you don't owe anybody anything, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Facts.
So that is a position I'm in, and that's a position I've kept myself in because I know who I am, because I know what I stand for, and because I know what I want. So I saw somebody saying some things. Should I say names?
Yes, sir. Why not?
All right. So I'm pretty sure his name is Will, who is
Rec Philly.
Head of Rec Philly, which is dope. Cat from the turf started something that gives people a place to get active and touch whatever they need to touch to take them to the next place. At least that's what it looks like, right?
All right.
So I saw him say something along the lines of, it felt as if he was positioning Rec Philly as this all-seeing, all-knowing entity that was giving these artists something, and these artists basically weren't being able to capitalize on what they were being given. Basically putting the onus on the artist.
Okay.
Now, when I saw him talking, he was talking to somebody who I have genuine love and care for, who is Germ.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't me coming to Germ's defense. It was me more so saying, in a more polite way, like, you getting out of pocket. Like, I can see what kind of dynamic you're trying to play where you own this and you think he's an artist, so you can play this semantics game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to get in this now. So initially started the conversation with him, and again, from a very even playing field. You dig what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't know me from a can of paint. I don't know him from a can of paint. You own a business? Cool. We'll go from there. Like, I don't need to say what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. Again, he starts down this road where he is this all-seeing, all-knowing person who, again, puts the onus on the artist and said, he starts getting into things like return on investment and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, you talking to a dude that, like, I really do this. Like, I'm helping very large companies figuring out how to position themselves in the market without saying what I do. So I understand how you can feel you can take this tone with people, but a lot of what you do and say is it's always going to be a representation of your business, but humility is always what you should lead with.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get that from him. So if you're not going to lead with humility, then let's start humbling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he and I have a conversation. It goes nowhere. Park it. You know what I'm going to do? Let's talk to people they've worked with, because what he said was they've transformed people's lives.
I remember this, yes.
Now that's a very weighted statement. I'm not saying you didn't, but what I'm saying is if you did say that, let's pull up the Carfax, right? Let's get some people to say how you've changed their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it on the timeline and I added them. Hey, anybody who's worked with @Rep Philly, tell me about a time or your dealings or any partnerships or any offerings or anything that they've given you that has transformed your life. We got some people pull up, right? And I'm like, okay, like, I'm excited because honestly, I want to be proven wrong. Right. I'm not against you, black man. You from the city, you from the town. I've been going for 10 years. Who the fuck am I? Mm-hmm. I want to be proven wrong so that I know y'all are giving people what y'all say y'all are giving, because at the end of the day, a lot of these artists don't have the money they're giving you to even do what they do themselves. So they should be getting return on investment, mm-hmm. right? Like, these are, I'm not going to use starving artists, but these are artists who are still trying to figure it out and trying to use what they have to make something work.
Right.
We all know what that's like when you start at the bottom and you're like, look, I got $50. Should I get a logo made or should I buy a mic? Like, all of those things play into this. So I get people pull up and no one wants to answer the question. I speak very directly for a reason, so that so it can't be twisted, so that it can't be misconstrued, so that it can't be taken out of context. Tell me about a time they transformed your life or changed your life. I think that
I remember that it was people definitely coming to the pulpit to say, oh no, they helped with this and they assisted with this and that. And it was like, but where's the transformation of, you know,
like, okay, they helped. One person said they helped them learn about like venues and gave them a space so where they could work, and cool. Like, that's tangible. Those are very tangible things. But how did that change your life? Immediately. Oh, I'm not doing this. I see what you're trying to do. You trying to make me say something. No, I'm not. Like, I'm trying to be proven wrong. I want you to tell me, like, give me a great story. Give me a customer testimonial about how they changed your life. That conversation ended. Uh-huh. The next person. And mind you, all of these people know people I know, but they don't know I know the people they know. Mm-hmm. So the people that I know are texting me saying, yo, that's my dog, but they looking crazy right now. Now, mind you, this is stuff that I'm not putting on the timeline. Mm-hmm. You did, like, that's just not how I move. But on the back end, I'm getting people who know these people saying, yo, that's my person, and this person looks nuts. Mm-hmm. So I get another person saying, he said something along the lines of like, yo, they taught me this and that and this and that. You know, I can't remember the I mean, specifics. But again, it wasn't anything transformational. It was what you should learn as a artist going through your progression to where you want to get to next. Same thing. Okay, I get what you're saying, but tell me where the transformation took place. Yo, I see what you did with the last person. You're not going to get me. Now, this is when it starts to get really good. Because underneath, the people who work at Rec Philly are commenting at the people who are defending them. I'm not going to say who the person is, but they went as far as to say, can't wait for you to re-up your membership. So what we have here now is we have Black folks who are working and using our God-given talent that we all have and basically paying a membership to something that it seems as though the people who run it feel like they're doing them a favor. And not only are you standing on a ledge that you don't want to die on, they're underneath telling you they can't wait for you to pay them again. Then we had a young lady, she came at me and I was like, look, Miss Lady, I don't argue with any Black women on the timeline. You got it. Whatever you say is fact, cool. Like, that's just how I carry it. I'm not arguing with no Black woman on the timeline. Listen to women. I say it all the time. I'm not doing it. She was wrong. But again, I mean, she was wrong, but I'm not, that's just not how I'm built. I'm not doing a back and forth with you in public about this because.
Will you argue with a white woman?
No, I don't argue with. Okay, I'm not. But I make it a point to not argue with Black women on the timeline because we know this world, we know this country. So at the end of the day, the conversation, as you said, it went nowhere because nobody could give me anything concrete. And that was upsetting because I wanted to be proven wrong. I'm sorry. That took way too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I've told Wook, like I said, we're cool. We're definitely cordial. And, I say, like, I respect him. I respect what Rec Philly does. I'm not all the way sure what it is or the dynamics and the infrastructure of everything.
but okay, so to what you just said, that is part of my problem. Where if you are a public-facing entity and you're helping artists, it should be very transparent what you are giving to the game.
Yeah, for sure. And
it should be very transparent. And not to cut you off, but to cut you off.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
I did more research and I reached out to some people who are artists in the city and I said, yo, can you point me into the direction of any artist who worked with Rec Philly and blew or went to the next level? I got nothing. And not only did I get nothing, I got people saying, yo, that's the thing about Rec Philly. Like, you can get a membership and it's a great space and they're cool people, but there's really nothing to be said for who an artist is that has come from that, we can say, quote unquote, camp or incubator or whatever they call themselves, and it's blown.
And I feel, to be honest, it's their fault. Like, not even on, again, like, to me, similar to the Joe Budden and Spotify shit, where like I don't know enough, where I'm like I'm doing the hill. Yeah, Rec Philly, that's some fucking scammers. I don't know what the fuck they doing that. But like, I feel like
that wasn't my position at all.
Sure.
At all.
But I feel like you said something similar to this earlier. But I feel like they think about themselves and the brand more than the artist. Like for real. But they put out there like they're artists first and all that shit, whatever. Where I feel like the way they move is about uplifting their brand and making them bigger, and using starving or emerging or coming up artists to do that, whatever. Where if they just kind of like flip the psyche of it into the mission, you would put more into the artists that believe they're getting so much, return on their investment, whatever. And then you were there for being part of more emerging stories, whatever.
Very simple. But the artists pop, they go, they get their interviews, they come through people like me, other people, whatever, whoever talks to them. Yo, tell me a little bit about your journey. Oh, when I was starting, I worked with this collective called Rec Philly. Bang. Another one. Yo, when I started, I worked with this collective called Rec Philly. Bang. You get enough of those, they just gonna reach out to you. Yo, what are y'all doing down there that, you know what I mean? Like, it's Philly. It's nothing but talent. So why is it that, and I'm not trying to dump on them. You know what I mean? Like,
No, literally, let's say it's not even like that's what I said. Like I feel like I'm not even saying that this ill will. I feel they just don't move how I think they should move, just even for themselves. Like forget like the artists, forget whatever, forget you, me. Like no, y'all can even just be more better for yourselves. Like it's like, and I think they try to so much to position themselves, they lose grip. It's not like it's a very micro level of thinking, even though it's such a macro system possibly. But like no, Rec Philly, we want to be. I remember when I dropped my compilation album. And I thought it really stood out to me.
Which was dope, by the way.
Appreciate that.
That was a great project.
Thank you. I'm dropping 2 more this year. Working on right now called Lost Gems and First Love. I'm gonna drop them both in the same year. Of all things.
Sure. Are you going for the DMX?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, let's say that. Yeah. But slightly different, and you'll see when they both drop whatever. You know, the DMX, but with a little more gas to it. All respect due to the X. But I remember I thought it was very telling that they didn't highlight at all whatever. Here I am, a podcast in the city that they've been a part of multiple times, and I emerge some of the same artists you deal with. I bring them together to do a project. You would think that'd be a pretty big deal or whatever, to not just them, but a bunch of other publications or platforms in the city, whatever. But I feel like a lot of people, including them, just think about promoting themselves. And instead of being like, where me, of course, I'm a podcast, I promote myself, but, you know, I'm about promoting the city and building the city up. If I build the city, that's where this podcast started from. It started from a place where I feel like our city was ass, like just pure media-wise. Like, R99 was ass, hip-hop in 1987 been ass for real, and been stagnant. We need to shake some shit up and wake up the ecosystem here, whatever. So I'm like, instead of bitching about it, I'm going to do something about it, whatever. And that's what I've been doing, whatever. So in doing that, I'm shedding light to artists that don't necessarily change my life and all, but I think you're dope. I think you're talented. I think you're doing something different or interesting. Let's hear more about that so you can hear, other people can hear about it, and that can continue thriving the ecosystem. But if I only cared about myself, I think it would be very evident and I would move a different way with it. But no, but I really just genuinely would like to see everybody win, because that's not going to stop me from winning. I'm going to win regardless because I'm passionate about myself. But no, if I think you're talented, yeah, you deserve what you should get. You deserve your credit because you're talented. You're a dope, whatever. But everybody don't have the same level of thinking, whatever. And a lot of times, to be clear, whether it's ill will or not, or just like ignorance or just short sighted, you know, it just don't be there.
It was a test in that, and it was just me kind of. I mean, people told me it shook shit up. That wasn't my intention. It was really just to get people to say how well Rec Philly was doing. And in trying to do that, I think it illuminated more things than anything. And like you said, the conversation died. So if the people who deem themselves the entities that you need to go through to be successful in a city like Philly, and granted, there's really 2 of those, right? You have them, you have taste creators.
They can be as well. Yeah.
If that's all we have, then somebody better be putting some numbers up on the board. And from what I've seen and from what I've heard, and again, these are from artists.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're getting the return on their investment.
Right. You know, like I said this a couple months ago or weeks ago, whatever that was, where I feel like no one has done more for the city than me, to be totally honest. And I feel that's like no gas, no cockiness, all humility.
No, I'm not getting in the way of that statement because, again, as I said, even in just a project that you put together, people from different places of the city, people who do different things, different artists, I don't know why it is the way it is, but the city has always had these splinters where people are hesitant to work with other people. It could be the history of just sometimes just how, I mean, like the city is what it is and it has a vibe and people have that vibe. But yeah, no, talk your shit.
Yeah.
I mean, like talk your shit.
Whether it's the album or 200 plus episodes, and usually when I do episodes, it's group episodes, and niggas come on and meet each other and build connections and build reports and go on to do other things and ventures and creative ideas and business opportunities. A lot of times people come here, it's their first time ever being on a podcast, or other people, they go on here and learn more about this and whether it's doing live shows and bringing people to live shows, having people perform there, or connecting people behind the scenes. I help with plenty of other projects that I don't do myself, but I just assist and help other people. It's like, and also without no one paying me, because I just don't. That just doesn't move me. Like, hey, you want to come on my podcast? Give me $50. That just doesn't move me. Like, I could do
money
that.
Will come.
But so
if you don't get that, the money will come. Like, if proof of concept, like that's kind of what Joe's talking about.
Right, a walk-in proof of concept for sure.
The money will come. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah, but it's like, you know, a lot of people say a lot of shit, but and again, not in my right Philly. A lot of people, I see it every day. People make themselves look a certain way, and they're brand conscious, and they got the right supposed credits and right bio and the right title and all these things, whatever. But when you look at, all right, where's the Carfax and where's the real work in the product? They don't really got shit to show for or whatever. It's like most people don't even be consistent with their shit. It's like, what do you even do for real? Every week is a new thing you're doing, whatever. So a lot of people say a lot of shit and really don't do much of anything. And
well, I'm sorry. Damn, I keep cutting you off on your own podcast.
You straight? No shade. It's just show, man. I'm just here.
All right. Well, I think that goes to the second point we were talking about, like, what is a gatekeeper? Mm-hmm. Anyone who feels comfortable walking around with that label, I think is a bozo.
Yeah, I can roll with that.
Because if you feel comfortable with that label, then that says more about you and where you think your position is in this than anything. If you feel you can genuinely control who comes in and who comes out,
right?
Then,
and you wear that. Yeah,
exactly. Like, yo, my name's Tay. I'm a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Like, it means you have this whole thing fucked up because people can come and go as they please. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, we all have all of these tools at our disposal, and the more we see it, people will just leave the city. Mm-hmm. They'll just leave the city and go get it.
Like they have.
Like, bro, it was so. This was. I'm gonna just give a little bit about myself. So I'm working at Billionaire Boys Club at the time, and I'm in the store this day, and I can't remember what I was doing. I was probably bullshitting, and a cat comes up to me, and I can't remember what he asked me, but we started the conversation, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm from Philly," and I'm like, "Oh, word! Like, I got family in Philly. I'm from Delaware, but I mean, my whole family's from the West Side. Blah 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 blah." So he's like, "Yeah, have you heard of Lil Uzi Vert?" And I'm like, "Nah, I haven't." Mind you, I'm older. I mean, like, he's a young boy at this point, and this is looking back at it. This is before any of the projects that we really know Uzi for.
Right.
And I'm like, "Nah." And he's like, "Yo, you don't know Lil Uzi Vert?" And I'm like, "Nah." He's like, "Yo, he's from North, and he blah blah blah, and we got a small show, and I came in here because I felt like if we could get some of y'all or something along the lines of, like, he wanted to do something BBC, and like he was trying to get me in the show." Mm-hmm. I mean, like, to come and see. And I don't like concerts. I don't like going to places with a lot of people I don't know. That's just not how I get down. You never know what might happen, so I just keep it, you know what I mean, close to the chest.
Being around a bunch of strangers is very overrated, yes.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't go. But we had the conversation, and come to find out, I don't know if it was his manager, if it was his best friend. It was something along the lines of that. A year later, Uzi blows. Like, no lie, it was a year later, Uzi blows. You know what I mean? Like, all of that shit come on, da-na-na-na-na, all of that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know the song names, and I just remember thinking, like, I never heard of the bull. And everyone I knew at the time when it came did not know he was from Philly. They all thought he was from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. They all thought he was from Atlanta. And I just remember thinking, like, damn, like, this is some new shit that the city, I've never seen that come out of the city before. And he went to Atlanta, and now Atlanta has him unless somebody from Philly says, "Nah, he's ours." And to think that, I just talked in the circle, but to think that there are these people who really think that they can pick and choose who comes and goes when we as a city can't really put anybody in a position to win is fucking maniacal. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, right? So I would say this to any and all people who have gatekeeper in their Twitter bios, in their Instagram bios, and whatever. You fucking bugging. It's just crazy. It's crazy that anybody would walk around with that label. It's crazy that anybody would consider themselves that. Whenever I see it, whenever I saw it, it always rubs me the wrong way, because it says that you really think you control something, and you can't control creativity. You can't control people, especially when at the end of the day, they just going to go through you and go to the labels. So,
yeah. And I feel like the realistic thing is just like, I consider myself a platform. I'm a platform for what I deem dope and interesting. And I feel like I'm one of the rare platforms that I feel is my duty to seek out what I deem is dope, whatever. Where I feel like a lot of other people have it flipped, where they feel like, no, if I'm the platform, you should seek me out. Like, no, that's not really how it works. Because everybody needs to know their role and play according to their role, so the ecosystem can operate properly. Because it's like, if this flipped and all the artists are trying to no, it's like, then we're gonna be missing out. We're like, no, we should be seeking them out and then giving everybody as many looks as possible, so then it can all just go, and we all like, that's how it works, whatever. Like, but if the platforms got these egos, like, no, we the fuck, we matter. It's like, no, first of all, everybody matters, and we need to be looking out and not putting people on, but shining lights. Because if someone is talented, someone to do something that's interesting, they did their job. It's like, and like the point, back in the day, the DJ, that was a part of their job. You're supposed to find the hidden gem, like the lost gem, no pun, you'll find out later. But like, you're supposed to find that out. Yo, this is what I discovered. This is dope. Like, y'all should know what's going on here. Not wait till someone pop off, then be like, oh yeah, like, I knew about them, or I heard about that. Like, no, like, it's like, why you didn't say nothing back then? No, it's like,
that's the worst part of it. That's the worst part of it, when that person works and that person gets to where they want to get to, and whatever journey they had to go through, and then you hear like, I remember Bull, he's such and such, and I mean, we were supposed to, and blah, blah, and all these other things where it's, why didn't you just help him?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't you just help him? Why didn't you save maybe that one speed bump?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, why didn't you save that one headache? Why didn't you save that one problem? Like, it's not enough people in this. And that's where I know the people who really wear the creative label, where it just became popular.
Mm-hmm.
All of the people who I know who create shit for a living help each other.
Mm-hmm.
All of us. At least it's my circle. Like, no one's stepping on nobody. If anything, any room we go into, if I go into a function, a small whatever, and I see somebody with, like paintings or pictures on the wall, I'm talking about my boy Malk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I see somebody and they whatever, like they need an engineer or whatever, like, I'm talking about my dog B. Like, if I know somebody who they rap and they looking for a cat who does something really well, or who write a good song, I'm talking about Germ. Like,
oh, I'm gonna say this. That just says a lot about you, because creative or not, a lot of people. I was having a whole conversation with my man, and he's talking about his whole family. To your point earlier about people, family, and for close people not helping you out, but he's talking about his relative who is a creative in his own field of things, whatever, and he'll be like talking directly to people that can help out his relative, and he'd be like, yo, guess what I was just talking to? He'll come back to, yo, guess what I was just talking to? And he'd be like, you didn't think to relay that, or like try to throw the oop in some type of way? And they're like, oh no, I ain't even. So you can take that as like, you really don't fuck with me like I think you do, or you just an absent-minded type nigga, whatever. Either way, I don't appreciate either one of them though. Like, so people really just don't be having the vision. Like, everybody, a lot of people be selfish, a lot of people don't have the vision. And what I wholeheartedly believe, saying why I think there's more ugly people than attractive people, I really believe there are more dumb people. There are more dumb people than smart people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, absolutely. So I think because of that, that's the way shit goes, and it's fucked up.
And we also get being smart mixed up with intelligence.
Elaborate.
Like, I personally feel like being smart, the people who I remember that got the label smart were the people who, yeah, you could read a book and you could yak it back and you could, I mean, do a book report and you could put it on a test and all that stuff. But intelligence is a different measure. Like how you interact with different people, how you move in different rooms, how quickly you can pick something up and use it in a situation where, I mean, you need to be resourceful. I mean, like, I think all those things are measures of intelligence. Being smart is usually just a measure of how you're able to fit inside of a peg.
Interesting. Seem valid. How about this real quick? So give me one, do you feel like there's anybody that reminds you of yourself that isn't related to you?
Fuck. That's a really good question.
Yes, I give credit to my man. He the one that gave it to me yesterday. I thought, I was like, So that's the first question. The second question is, can you give me 3 to 5 artists of any kind of field of art that you feel make up who you are?
Can I do the second one first?
Yeah, sure.
All right. The second one's going to be, I'm definitely going to lead with James Baldwin. And we're saying just in terms of like bodies of work that kind of embody who I am or kind of how I move.
Sure.
Okay, so James Baldwin. This is completely unrelated, but do you remember when everybody was putting Basquiat in their raps?
Facts.
That was a terrible era.
Shout out to Hove.
It was a horrible era. I remember when I heard Joel Santana say it, I was like, nah.
Oh, yeah, it was
this is done. This is cooked. James Baldwin, Marvin Gaye.
And while you're thinking, I'll say my answer. So the artist thing, I initially told him I'm a very music conscious type person, whatever. So I said Nipsey, Chris Brown, Big Sean, Meek, and Wale. And I feel like Meek is just the Philly-ness in me. Like, it's like when I hear certain Meeks on the day, I'm like, I'm such a Philly nigga. I just can't deny it. I just love it about myself. But Philly through and through, Nipsey, just the sense of self, the sense of direction, the sense of value, staying out the way. That's him. Big Sean, I was having a whole debate where someone's trying to tell me the reason Big Sean keeps not catapulting to a certain degree, whatever, because he don't really have identity. And I think he has a very distinct identity. It is that, that's a whole story. But I feel like his identity, where I always personally resonate with, regards to him being the best rapper or whatever, is that he's the middle ground of J. Cole, Kendrick, and like Drake and Future type shit over there or whatever. Whereas like he's not the conscious of niggas and he's not the trap of niggas. He's just a nigga in the middle that's just a mixture of both. And I feel there's a lot of people, like a lot of niggas don't want to go to the library just every day. A lot of niggas don't want to be trapping and shit like that. But as a nigga in the middle that be around both of those type spaces and be like, I ain't really with the middle of both. Like, I really just want to get bread, fuck some bitches along the way or whatever. Of course, better myself and, be intelligent and not be ashamed to try to progress in life, but just be chilling. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But I feel people be like, no, it's a one extreme or another. You gotta be memorizing James Baldwin books and I Have a Dream speech and know the Angela Davis rhetoric, or you just popping perks. It's like, what? Like, this is a middle ground here. Like, so I think that's what he embodies. Wale, that I appreciate his diversity for even though it's to a detriment. And Chris, I had to throw in some R&B shit in there. I just love R&B. He just embodied my generation and R&B, whatever. And then the person that reminded me of myself, you ever seen the second Steve Jobs biopic?
Is that the one? No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, yeah, Michael Fassbender and Seth Rogen. So I actually loved him. It was one of my favorite movies, probably top 20 or so. And of course, like, I don't think I'm Steve Jobs, like, and he definitely was a super asshole. But a lot of the way he thought and the way his brain worked, I'm like, oh no, that resonates with me. Like, I can see it. Like, it makes sense to me. And I feel he took it to the extreme level, and for better and good. I mean, for better and worse. But I don't know. I connect with that. Like, I get that way of being and thinking and shit like that, operating, feeling need. You have to curb it, or you're just gonna be a bad human being. and also to a similar fashion, House. I don't know if you watched the show House, whatever.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Love that show, and I definitely relate to House, whatever. Two white men.
All right, I dig it. So I said James Baldwin. Do I have to explain why?
Sure, if you want to.
Um,
If not, that's okay.
I mean, James Baldwin, I just feel like being connected to Martin, Malcolm, and Medgar Evers, and being the words that kind of follow those very different men, those very different movements at the same exact time, is kind of where I feel like I want to be in this. I kind of want to be the words to kind of encapsulate what this time is for young Black America. So James Baldwin's definitely one. Marvin Gaye, just in being an absolute, how should I say this? He was just someone who cared so much about what he did. I mean, like, he cared so much that so often he would create problems in his actual life so that he could make better music. Not saying I do that shit, but just in that is just a complete dedication to who you are and your craft. My third,
if you want, you can leave it at two.
Yeah, it might be those two. Actually, no, I'll put Prince in there because Prince completely controlled and understood his space. And that's something that
makes sense.
That's something that I appreciate.
I can see that. Also, before you get to the first question, my man who gave me the question, he's like, I don't really agree with those people who said, as far as like the five I mentioned. He's like, I'll give you Puffy and Samuel. And I was like, Puffy and Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
He was like, Puffy, because I feel like, I speak a lot about just not being mediocre. That was one of my fears in life. Like, I want to be great. Being mediocre is like just not in the cards for me. I'm not rolling. And, yes, I feel like Puffy is embodying of that, just being greatness and not stopping and always trying to reinvent yourself, this and that, whatever. And he's like Samuel, to me, like, I'm a very obsessive person as well, like extreme. Like I said, I'm in the stocks, whatever, before I liquidated a lot of shit and just went all Tesla, Apple. I had like 30 stocks. And it wasn't I'm not some crazy emotional radical type thing, but no, I really believe these are all safe. I did my research. These are all safe, calculated bets or whatever, or positions. But but my thing is like, oh no, I think this is going to work. I can't miss out on this opportunity, so I'm going for it. Or somebody's like, nah, I'm just not that invested. I'll just like, no, I want all of it type thing. So it's a very extreme and obsessive. Yeah, it's like Samuel's fucking highest. He's the biggest box office earner ever. Like, he's going to do all movies. Like, he's like, at a certain point, Samuel was like, I'm not going to be Denzel. I'm okay with that. But do 10 movies a year, you damn fucking right. Like, I'm going to do all type of shit, bad, good, anything. Like, so he's like, yeah, that's, to me, that's like kind of like your brain of like, oh, more. Like, why not? So I thought that was an interesting breakdown of it. But
I think then that just gave me the idea. I just gave you three. I think my fourth person would be, it would be Roberto Carlos. I don't know if you're into soccer, but soccer is the one thing that got me into college because my grades were dirt. And Roberto Carlos he was a left back. He's from Brazil. And Roberto Carlos, he would study the bladder of soccer balls so that he knew exactly where to hit the ball so it could move a certain way in the air. And just that attention to detail every year, because they're making balls every year, and just always wanting to be able to do what you want with, like that thing that controls an entire pitch, as we call it, or an entire atmosphere. If you're playing in front of 100,000 people, is special. So I'd say that.
And you get the first one of like who you think reminds you of yourself. Or are you going past?
Gerard Carmichael.
Okay. I fuck with Gerard.
Gerard Carmichael. I say that because Gerard Carmichael has a very interesting relationship just with reality, like in just how our relationships work and how, like every day works, and also his dynamic with his family. Like you can tell he's the weird one in his family.
For sure.
But because he's successful, it works. That's kind of my dynamic. And I'm not saying by any means like I'm successful, but I would say Gerard Carmichael is that person.
Okay, interesting. Are you ready for some speed round of questions? Oh, matter of fact, one last thing before we get to that. What does being married mean to you?
This is a good question because I see people arguing about this shit all the time on the timeline. Can I say what it doesn't mean?
Okay, sure.
So first things first, marriage is not going to change your relationship.
Facts.
Like if you have problems, marriage is not going to fix it. It's actually only going to make it worse. Because now whatever y'all had before, y'all are stuck with until you legally decide to break it up. I would say marriage is, as much as it is a legal document, and a lot of people like to boil it down to that, I knew the moment I got married that I had my person and that my person decided that they had their person. So in that day and in the people that were there, all of those people got to see two people who decided like, ain't nothing else out here. Like it has its ups and its downs. It's something you work on. Like naturally as humans, we're not meant to be with one person. It's naturally we're not. So it's something that you work on. But it's something that if you do it with the right person, it's really special. Like I knew when I got married that I immediately felt this, it's hard to describe, but I felt this, energy that like, this is mine and I got to take care of this for the rest of the time I'm on this earth, no matter what. And not even like no male machismo, whatever that shit is. Like
women take care of the men. Yeah.
Yeah. But in just that, like, this is mine. And
right.
I know that no matter what, I got to put this before me. And it's also just like, it's dope when you do it with the right person. Like it's consistent. You know what I mean? Like games and shit. It's consistent. All of that. Like it all works. You just got to make sure you do it with the person you should do it with. And again, I'm also the person who it's not for everybody. Like I'm not going to be that marriage person that says, you know what I mean? Like I have people in my family who've been together for 20, 30, 40 years. They're never going to get married. Or people who just like being single. It's the people who are married that try to make it seem like to the people who aren't married that like something's wrong with them or they're out of whatever. Like that's who fucks it up. Because then you're making the people who might get married look at it like, oh, they on that bullshit. And like, that's how people who get married think about that. That is what messes it up. If you do it the right way with the right person, it's a good fucking time. Like, I already know after this, I'm about to drink some gin and do a puzzle. That's my person. We're going to do it together. We're going to play some music and rock. And that's what I think. It's just, we're going to do this until we go.
That's dope. That's dope. You mind if I ask how long you've been married or?
3 years.
All right, cool. All right, get into some speed round. Shit, the fuck. Have you ever seen the movie 16 Blocks?
I haven't. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't feel good dedicating 2.5 hours to something I might not like.
I totally understand. That's why I haven't watched The Five Bloods. Because, whatever. R.I.P. Chadwick again, whatever. I'm going to watch. You keep on my fucking back about it. But no, like I said, I'm a very obsessive guy. So when I was like younger, like in high school days, I used to consume everything. I had to listen to every mixtape, every album, watch every movie, this and that. And then I let go of music first. I'm like, I'm just not going, like, I had to let go of artists. I was like, yo, like, I'm never going to listen to this again. So why would I listen to this? Like, that was like a real realization for me. I'm like, I don't need to listen to everything. Like, it's okay. Then the movie, I'm like, yo, but it should have been reversed. I'm like you said, it's 2 hours. These 2 and some change. I don't got time to watch something that I'm not going to damn near love. Like, if it ain't like a clear-cut win, this really was a waste of my time. Like, so I'm not mad at that. But so the movie's not important. So imagine yourself at a bus stop. There's a car there. The city is about to blow up. Don't worry about the logistics of that. The car can get you to safety, though. Only 2 people can get in the car. Nobody can get on the top or the hood or none of that shit. 2 people, including yourself, if you want to go. But if you choose to go, that counts as 1. You're at the bus stop. The love of your life, your wife is at the bus stop. I kind of see where his answer's about to go, though. But whatever. Your wife at the bus stop, your best friend who saved your life before, and then a little kid you don't know is there. Who gets in the car?
So little kid I don't know, my wife and my best friend who saved my life before.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get the choice to have the conversations with my best friend or no? This is just a no.
Yeah, it's like a 120-second decision.
All right. My wife is going in, and if I know my dog, he's going to let me put that kid in, and we're going to rock out together.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. So of course, so the original, would it change if it was an old lady instead of a little kid?
Nah, I'm putting the old lady in, and me and my dog, we just gonna, you know what I mean, go down on the ship together.
Interesting. That might be either first time or a rare answer for this. So supposedly the answer to the riddle is your best friend, and let's call it the ex, little kid or old lady. The ex get in the car and you stay with the love of your life to die together. That's the answer to whatever. But I get your logic. No, I'm taking care of my person. You're getting away. And I'm not rolling with you with the little kid, though. Fuck that little bastard. I don't know you. But
I think like he's got more life to live. Like you always look out for the kid and the elderly. So he's got his whole life to live, and I don't know who that old lady is, I mean, like attached to, but she might have a grandkid on the other side of it that is to have a little bit more time with their grandparent.
Gotcha. I respect it. If you're in a bad mood, do you prefer to be left alone or cheered up?
I'm usually a left alone type person.
Okay. In what ways are you the same as your childhood self?
I'm really giving. Like when I was a kid, again, I'm an only child, and my parents did.
I'm the only child.
See, we're all right? We're well stable, and I mean, like.
I think we're the best, to be honest. I think if it was more of us, the world would be better off.
I agree. But I was very giving as a kid because I'm an only child, so I had a lot of the things I asked for.
And I respect that because the narrative is that we're selfish.
No, it's not that at all. Because we want people. Like, there's no one here with us. So so it's like, if I give you this toy, you'll be my friend and you'll be around all the time.
You talking now. You talking.
Yeah, I mean, so I was just a kid. I ain't
gonna lie. That was just some deep shit you just said. I didn't even thought about it before. You just gave me some therapy just now. Like I got a vivid memory.
You like people around.
Yeah, cause I'm naturally like that. You know, my girl, she makes fun of me because I always like having parties and kickbacks, and I'm a natural gatherer. I follow the podcast and the album.
You're a host.
Yeah, I'm a host.
You like hosting.
Yeah, literally. So I remember, but my mom, she's a bougie, pessimistic person, whatever. So she didn't let me go outside until I was like fucking 10 or 12, and I couldn't see no one could come in our house ever.
Wait, what part of the city did you grow up in?
Germantown.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
I have a special spot in my heart for Germantown.
I love Germantown.
I love Germantown.
So I never forget one time, his name was Sean. He was next door neighbor, like, and we was talking. We built up the rapport of talking. Then we was talking. He like, yo, you got toys? Oh yeah, I got toys. Well, I got all the toys. And I kept he kept saying, oh, you got this one? I'll bring this one out. Eventually, I had my whole fucking room on the front step, and I was like, yeah, my mom came outside. What the fuck is all this shit? Take this shit back in the house. You don't know these dirty ass kids, and they just use you. They use you. They ain't your friends, and it probably was some truth to that. But
still, yeah. So that part of who I am is still very much here. Like I gave toys and clothes and all that shit away. Like I've always been the kid who. We weren't rich by any means, but in terms of a lot of the people I grew up with, my family, I always had more usually. So it was just natural that I would just I mean, like give stuff away. And as an adult, I do that too. When people come over my crib, I try to give them records and send them home with food and all that stuff. So that's definitely a part of my childhood and who I am now.
If you can master one skill you don't have now, what would it be?
I'd like to speak another language fluently.
Okay. Anyone in particular?
Spanish.
Okay. What stands between you and happiness?
What stands in between me and happiness? Myself.
Okay.
I'm always second guessing myself. I'm always second guessing the moment. I always deal a lot in like, why me? So yeah, I'm standing in the way.
Cool. Would you rather, I'll get this wrong. Would you rather lose all your old memories and only be able to make new ones, or not be able to make new ones but keep your old memories?
I'd keep the old ones.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have the old ones, right?
No, so you stay who you are, and you know who people are from your past. You just don't remember the memories type thing. So you can't tap into whatever. But, I know this is my wife or whatever. I don't remember how we first met, shit like that.
So the old memories don't shape who I am. I stay that. And the new memories don't shape who I am. I stay that no matter what.
Yeah.
Am I asking too much?
No, hey, I appreciate it. Like you said, talking is about learning. So,
so who I am now is not, it doesn't change no matter new or old.
Well, if you lose your old memories, you don't lose how you are. But yes, the future can still change you.
I want to keep those old memories because a lot of those people aren't here anymore.
Gotcha. Valid. If you had what was your dream job growing up?
I wanted to be an astronaut. Well, it fluctuated. When I was really young, I wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to be a mechanic because my grandpa, all of his homeboys were like, like the old niggas. And they would just hang out at the body shops. Like, they're not there now, but like there used to be this body shop that was right off of 52nd on Wyalusing going up the hill, right by the church. And they used to just hang out there. And I thought that was the coolest shit, that they could just work on cars all the time. So I wanted to be a mechanic. And then when I got a little bit older, I wanted to be an astronaut. And I told my mom I wanted to go to astronaut camp, and she saw the price and told me, "You're bugging."
I got a school book that my mom gave me from. You basically got to write down from kindergarten to 12th grade every year. Oh, who are your friends and what class you took and what major life event happened, shit like that. And one of the slots also was like, what you want to do, you can grow up. So when I graduated high school, I went to look through the book, whatever. And funny to me was every year was a different profession for the most part.
Like,
but the one that I was just baffled by was this. I want to be a fucking, like in third grade. I'm like, I want to be a fucking ice skater. And I was like, no.
I dig that.
You was an ice skater?
No, I'm saying like I dig that ambition.
Oh, you dig it. Got you.
Dig that ambition.
It was funny though, because I always hated ice skating though. Like I can only remember going to ice skating twice in my life, and I hated it both times. I was ass at it, so I don't know what the fuck I was thinking that day. But that's just funny.
You probably watched like a Winter Olympics, and it went off for you.
Or I probably saw when I first saw Mighty Ducks, and that should change my life, which is classic.
Right. Great movie, by the way.
What characteristic do you most admire in others?
Respect.
Gotcha. What teacher in school made the most impact on you and why?
Can I give two?
Sure.
All right. So the first is my kindergarten teacher. My mom saved up all of her money and sent me to Haverford in kindergarten. And as a jit, I didn't know it, but the teacher was, I didn't know why, but the teacher was sitting me outside of class every day. So when I would go home, my mom would ask me like, how was school? And I'd tell her like, I don't know. I was sitting outside of class. And then it got to a point where she had to go check the teacher, and do, what a West Philly mom would do.
Mhm.
And come to find out the teacher was racist and she was just sitting me outside of class so I couldn't participate. So I remember my mom having the conversation with me, obviously, about that. And that always shaped me in the sense of like, even as kids, they hate us. So that was one thing. And then I had a 5th grade teacher when I moved to Delaware, who got me an interview at this private school that I ended up going to from 6th to 12th. Who, again, I'm in a class, it's like 37 kids to a teacher. And she was just really dope. Her name was Miss Hutchinson. And she set this interview up with me because I was getting really good grades, but I'm doing like all the shit that my peers are doing, and the shit people in my family are doing. So, and I was always raised like, you don't judge, like what people do because we're all coming from a very similar place. Like people do things when they need stuff. So yeah, she set that up for me and I ended up going to that school, and that school ultimately introduced me to soccer, and soccer ultimately got me into college.
Cool.
I'm sorry, I talk in like stories sometimes. I say too much in very simple places.
I'm rolling, sir. I love storytellers. What is your life motto or philosophy you live by?
I just genuinely believe like if you treat the people in your circle the right way, and you live your day to day and let people know how much you care about them and put them on, and like just do everything you possibly can to make the people around you better, it reverberates. And if people do that, then that group and those people turn into, like that, what they say usually in sales, like you do something good and then they tell 3 people and they tell 3 people. Like I genuinely think that happens. But there's a breakdown usually at some point that we're still dealing with. But I do think genuinely, and we've seen in history that when people do treat each other the right way, it usually has a larger effect.
I definitely agree in theory, and not to knock your philosophy, your belief system, but I think the flaw in that, what I've always noticed is people tend to be a little too idealistic on like their circle, whatever. So I feel like that the what will happen in those type of situations, how it can not reciprocate and crumble, is that you're not noticing that this person just isn't good for you or good to you. So no matter how much love you give them, it's going to come back to bite you because they just aren't good. And I know is that where I feel like one of my strengths is I'm a natural put myself first, but not in a bad way. I feel even being self-centered has a negative connotation where, of course, I get why, but also if you're not centered in yourself literally, then how can you even operate properly? You can't pour from an empty cup type thing, whatever. So I feel like, I've always had a realistic viewpoint of like, you're not good to me or good for me. You don't exist to me. You don't need to be around me ever again for real. Like, I don't really play the mixed signal game where I feel like someone's a friend of me, or if you ever disrespect me, or I think, like I always say I'll never fight a friend, because once if I ever gotta fight you, or we got like, I'm gonna like, you don't exist to me no more. We're not friends. This is done or whatever. So I think people let people get away with things, let people slide, and they don't just really judge things accordingly and be like, oh no, the love really isn't here as much as I would like to think it is. No matter how much I give for you or do to you or good for you, inside you aren't right. Or, so we just not on the same page, on the same wavelength. So I do think about that though as well.
I agree with that completely.
Good people, that's how they get themselves in situations, because you're not thinking about the other person.
I agree with that completely, which is why I say what I say, because, and I tweet this often, like I built the world I wanted to live in. So the people who are in my life,
right,
are not the people that come to me with the bullshit, are not the people who don't reciprocate. Like the people who are in my life for a reason. We all, granted, like different circles, but everybody is in there that does right by me, does right by other people. Like you have a similar code that I have. And if you don't, then you're not, it's easy to get a hold of me, but it's hard to get to me, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I do genuinely believe if we did that, and it's very idealistic. I know it is. And it sounds crazy to a lot of people. But again, that's because that's how I built my circle.
All right. I respect it. Number one place in the world you want to visit that you haven't already?
Somewhere in Africa. I don't know where, but again, I don't know where I'm from, but I would like to say, where's that place? Is it Ghana where the first ships left Africa and I would say there.
Okay. World peace or inner peace?
Oh, inner peace all day.
Okay. Good news or bad news first?
Is this first or just overall?
What do you mean overall?
I mean, are you leading with the good news or the bad news? Or is it just you're either going to give me just good news or just bad news?
Yeah, no, it's like preference. Which first?
Oh, which first? Give me the bad news first, for sure.
Okay. If you had 24 hours to live, what would you do? Starting as soon as this podcast ends.
If I had 24 hours to live, what would I do? And I have to just break all this down? Or just
a summary, yeah.
I'd FaceTime my mom and my pop. I'd go to my grandpop's plot. I'd play with my son. I'd cook my wife her favorite meal. I'd listen to Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. I'd take a hot shower, like a long hot shower. I'd iron and put on a Dickie suit.
And that's it? You done?
Yeah, it's probably all of it. And I'd send out one tweet.
Can I ask you the tweet is?
What's the tweet?
Yeah.
Woke up black and blessed again.
I was gonna say that at the end, so we'll get back to that. If you met God, what would you want him or her to say to you, and what would you want to say to him or her?
I would want to say, can you help us understand death? Because we know it's going to happen, but like we still don't get it. Like we still cry at funerals and shit. So like, can you help us understand it? What I would want God to say to me, I would want him to say Ahmad is happy, my cousin. I would want him to say like Ahmad is happy here.
Gotcha. Favorite curse word?
I say fuck often, but it's not my favorite. It's probably bullshit.
Okay. Describe yourself in 3 words.
The introverted extrovert.
The introvert extrovert? Gotcha. What is this current chapter of your life called, and what was the previous chapter called?
This chapter of my life is called Affirmation. The previous chapter of my life was called Everyone Thinking You're Crazy.
Okay, cool. And as we head on, well, first of all, did you enjoy this episode? Enjoy this conversation?
Yeah, this was dope. This was a good time. I'm not gonna lie. I hit up my dog to ask him, like, should I be prepared for anything?
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you what he said off air, but this was a good time.
Cool, sounds good. And yeah, I just want to say before I do the sign out is like I said, the Chadwick thing, it moved me. And I feel like, like everything I said earlier, but also I feel like the most important thing is just being a good person. And, I definitely try to move with that intention of everything I do, whatever. It may get fucked up or lost in translation. I'm a very opinionated person, polarizing to some, or I say what the fuck I just feel, say what I want. But at the end of the day, I definitely try to respect all and everybody or whatever, because that's all, like you said, you respect, you admire others. I feel without that, you have nothing for the most part or whatever. And I think with social media, with just fame and anonymity and everybody just being keyboard warriors and everybody just getting so caught up in shit that isn't real, a lot of people can they just lose sight of what's really going on. And like real interactions and how genuine energy can really translate for real. And it's all about your lasting impression on people. What do you really do? Do you really help people? Do you really look out for people? Do you really just extend good energy to others? And like, what do you really stand for? And I think more people should really, first of all, figure that out and what answer to all the different questions, and then stand on it for whatever. So I think that's one thing his death reminded me. I always think about those things in general, but it reminded me just how the significance of all those things. Whatever. Did you have any more to say?
No, I agree with that. I think social media has opened up a window for people to be somebody they're not, and for better or for worse, you see people turn into something. You know what I mean? Like people become characters, and it's interesting to watch. It's the greatest social experiment we'll ever have. But in real life, like what I can definitely say in real life is like people are not moving like this in real life. I mean, like people are not talking to people this type of way. People are not, getting involved in these type of arguments. It's just not happening. So I just keep it the same way all the time. I'm going to treat people online the same way I treat them in person. And I just hope everybody can figure out, who they are. That's a large part of this. People don't know who they are. So it's not easy. Like it's definitely a journey to figure out who you are, but there's no peace like it. There's no peace like, standing in a room knowing I could just be me and like be completely fine with that. And there's power in it. People don't know. There's only one you. So if you can own that, especially creatives, if you can own that and not fall victim to a lot of the gimmicks and the games and the shit that they make you think is going to have you in places that look appealing, you can do whatever you want out here. Like anybody can do whatever they want out here. And I'm not going to be the person. I'm going to be the person to help you do that if I can. People should always be leading with help, before they ask. And just humility. Just be humble. Like it's easy. It's easy. Drop your ego at the door no matter what you're doing, and you'll get a lot further.
And shout out to my homegirl. She gave me this quote years ago at this point. She said, humble, don't fumble, and be humble before you get humble. So I was that. And
the world will humble you. It will humble you. Like anytime you feel like, not even when you feel like, when you get to that point to where you start to lose your pivot, the universe has people don't like using universe. This thing that we walk a path on has an interesting way of putting us in our place.
Yeah, and that's what I also said about the thing earlier. I said, I think about everything before I say it. So, and I think a lot of people don't, because to your point, they don't know who they are. And that's how you end up just saying things, not even being the same, whether on a podcast, on Twitter, on an IG Live, or putting up certain posts that's not even you, and then being in person. People are like, I don't know who the fuck you are. So I definitely take pride in. I feel like anybody that knows me, wherever space you see me in, I'm just the same me. For better or worse, I'm just the same person. It just is what it is. But I don't really care to cater or position myself in a certain way, or whatever I'm not or whatever I am. And I feel it's also reverse. People try to like be a certain way, but also try to, for the negative, like I'm just so tough, or I'm just so smart, or I'm just so this. But also I feel where people try to put it in even in a positive way, the performative shit, like I'm just all of this and I'm just so perfect. And no, you're not. And that's okay. Like that's just weird. Like just be who you genuinely are. But if you don't know that, then I can understand it might be difficult. But yeah, so all that being said, definitely dope conversation. If you enjoy this conversation in any regard, this wasn't ass. Yeah, subscribe and share the podcast. Right on Q Live on anything you listen to. Shit, that's one word. Right on QUE. Right on Q Live. Go check out the compilation. This man said it was good, so it was good. He already said if it was ass, he would have told me it was ass. So go search that on all stream shit. Right on Q Live, the We Are Live album. I got 2 more albums dropping. If everything goes well, I'm dropping both this year before the year is out. It's been a wild ass year. I'm going to try to push through that. One is called Lost Gems. The other one's called First Love. And they're going to be way better than the first one. Yeah, so shout out to you, sir. We need more of just black men talking and expressing genuine energy and respect for each other and love, especially in a fucked up year like this, whatever. So appreciate you. RightonQuelive, talk about it. We out.